I never thought I would find myself in this position, alone in a room with my husband's best friend, feeling the weight of an unspoken tension between us. My husband, Matt, and I had been married for 6 years, and I had always considered our relationship strong. If a little mundane, we had a comfortable life together. But over the past year, something had changed. The spark that had once defined our relationship had slowly faded, and we had become more like roommates than lovers. My husband's best friend, Jason, had always been around. He and Matt had been inseparable since college, and he was like a brother to us, charming, funny, and always able to lighten the mood. Jason had never been anything more than a friend to me, but lately, I had noticed subtle changes in our interactions. His compliments lingered just a little too long. His glances felt more intense, and I couldn't help but feel drawn to the attention he gave me, attention I hadn't felt from Matt in what seemed like forever. The setup: it was a Saturday evening, and Matt had gone out to run some errands, leaving me alone at home. Jason had stopped by unexpectedly, as he often did, but this time, the atmosphere felt different. I was sitting in the living room when he knocked on the door. I didn't think much of it as I let him in, but there was something in the air that made my heart race just a little faster than usual. "Matt's not here," I said, stepping aside to let Jason into the house. "He'll be back soon." Jason shrugged, giving me one of his easy smiles. "That's all right. I just came by to drop something off for him, but I can wait." I nodded, trying to ignore the flutter in my stomach as we settled into the living room. I made small talk, trying to keep the conversation light, but every word felt loaded, like there was something unspoken hanging between us. As we talked, I realized how long it had been since I'd felt this kind of attention from anyone. Jason was engaged, asking me about my day, about things I hadn't even thought to mention to Matt. He was listening, really listening, and I found myself leaning into the conversation, enjoying the way he made me feel seen. The moment, at one point, Jason stood up to get a drink from the kitchen, and when he came back, he stood in the doorway, just watching me for a moment. There was something in his gaze that made my breath catch, a kind of intensity one hadn't noticed before. "You know," he said softly, "I've always thought you were amazing, Emma. Matt's a lucky guy." I laughed awkwardly, feeling a sudden rush of nerves. "Thanks, Jason. That's sweet." He didn't move from the doorway, and the air between us grew thick with tension. I knew I should have said something, should have broken the moment, but I didn't. Instead, I found myself caught in his gaze, my heart racing as I realized what was happening. "I'm serious," Jason continued, his voice lower now. "You deserve more than what you're getting." The words hung in the air, and I felt my pulse quicken. There was a part of me that wanted to shut this down, to remind him that I was Matt's wife. But another part of me, one that I barely recognized, wanted to hear more. I wanted to feel desired, wanted, seen. Jason took a step closer, and I felt my breath hitch. He was standing so close now that I could feel the heat radiating off his body. My mind raced, conflicted between what I knew was right and the pull of the moment. "We shouldn't," I whispered, but my voice lacked conviction. "I know," he murmured, his hand reaching out to gently brush a strand of hair behind my ear. "But do you really want me to stop?" His touch sent a shiver down my spine, and in that moment, I couldn't think clearly. All I could feel was the overwhelming desire to be touched, to be wanted, in a way I hadn't been in so long. I knew it was wrong, but the need for connection, for intimacy, overpowered my rational mind. I didn't answer him. Instead, I closed the distance between us, letting my actions speak for themselves. The affair, what started as a brief, stolen moment in the living room, spiraled into something much bigger. Jason and I began meeting in secret, drawn together by the thrill of the forbidden and the comfort we found in each other. It wasn't just about the physical attraction, it was the emotional connection that I had been craving for so long. Each encounter was filled with passion, but also with guilt. I knew I was betraying Matt, but at the same time, I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. Jason made me feel like I was more than just a wife or a partner, he made me feel like a woman who was desired and valued. But the weight of the affair began to take its toll. Every time I was with Matt, I felt the crushing guilt of what I was doing behind his back. I couldn't look him in the eye without feeling like a fraud. Our marriage had its problems, but it didn't deserve this kind of betrayal. Caught, one evening, after months of sneaking around, everything came crashing down. Matt had come home early from work, earlier than expected, and he walked into the house just as Jason and I were saying our goodbyes after another secret rendezvous. The look on Matt's face when he saw us together, standing too close, the tension palpable, was one of confusion, then realization, and finally, betrayal. "What the hell is going on?" Matt's voice was low, shaking with emotion. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. Jason stepped back, his face pale. "Matt, But Matt wasn't looking at Jason. His eyes were locked on mine, filled with hurt and disbelief. "Emma?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I wanted to deny it, to explain it away, but the truth was written all over my face. There was no hiding it anymore. I had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. And in that moment, I knew I had shattered everything we had built together. The aftermath, the fallout was brutal. Matt left that night, and Jason disappeared from our lives just as quickly as he had entered mine. The house that had once been filled with warmth and laughter was now cold and empty, a constant reminder of the choices I had made. Matt and I tried to talk, to salvage what was left of our marriage, but the trust had been broken. He couldn't look at me without seeing the betrayal, and I couldn't forgive myself for what I had done. In the end, we decided to separate. The affair had been a symptom of deeper problems in our relationship, problems we hadn't addressed until it was too late, but that didn't make the pain any less real.